Your magic is excellent. It's top tier. It's next level. You are a category of one. There's only one witch like you, and it's you. You're the only one. So you cannot afford, and neither can the rest of the world, cannot afford for you to be clogged and surrounded and fenced in with clients who have no idea what to do with you and have no idea how to appreciate your magic and your work and your healing, and clients who don't benefit from it because of where they're coming from. So as soon as you speak to someone who's in her higher mind and in her higher wisdom, you're only going to have her coming in. And therefore, your magic will actually do its job, and it will be noticed, and they will benefit from it. And that's when you start getting good reviews and all that other stuff. So just remember, you're always speaking to her higher wisdom and her higher self. So that's why it's extremely important as you write or speak your message, every time you put it out, you need to stop and ask yourself, okay, now who am I really speaking to? What kind of client? A client who is communicating with her higher self and is in her higher wisdom on a certain spiritual plane, and someone who's ready for her next level, not someone who is dragged down or bogged down by fear, bad feelings, pain, anger, the desire for revenge, whatever. You don't want that. So you have to be very mindful and intuitive, and think very seriously and very deeply about who it is you're speaking to every time you get a line and talk about your offers. So speaking to your client's higher mind and speaking to her wisdom, speaking to her higher self, and speaking to her elevated spiritual self is very important if you want the right people in your circles for your healing. You don't want to have a bunch of clients who are going to be difficult to work with because they're in fear mode, or they're in lack mode, or they're coming from a revenge mode or what have you. You don't want all that. Those people, they need a different kind of help, and they're very difficult to work with when it comes to healing because they're not ready to heal. They're still in anger mode. So I made the mistake of having my slogan be reclaim your power, never settle for that shit again. And that last line, never settle for that shit again, that is drawing women that drew women to me who were still kind of in fear mode, like they were still angry. You know what I mean? And that's, you don't want to do that. Like, the reason I tell these stories and the reason I tell you what to do with this stuff is because I'm using the examples of mistakes I've made. So do not speak to anybody's fear. You will attract those people. You're not going to attract people who are ready for the healing and ready to be grounded and ready to move on with life and ready to reach their next level up. And you're certainly not going to attract people who are ready to spend money on you. And that's why a lot of times there's a lot of healers out there who don't know how to describe their services, and they speak to people who are fear-based. So they'll get on there and say, well, I know you're feeling sludgy, I know you're feeling bad, this cord cutting is gonna get rid of the sludge, and you never have to deal with that shit again, and blah blah. Like, for example, when I did my coaching business way back when I was helping women recover from narcissists, my slogan at the time was, I help women recover from narcissists, reclaim their power, and never settle for that shit again. Now, even though that sounded good at the time, and at the time I thought it was great, and I was told by one business coach I had for a short time that should be my slogan, and it was for a while, but it didn't work because it only brought me people who were vital and therefore still know who she is at the end of the day, not be drained by people pleasing or any of that artificial shit. And at the end of the day, she's still going to be herself. She's going to be satisfied with how she's gone about her day with people, and not going to be attracting motherfuckers who don't even need to be looking at her, let alone anything else. So remember that you're speaking to your client's highest mind, and you're speaking to their wisdom when you describe the results of your offers, not fears. Don't speak to anybody's fears, because you're going to attract people who are only operating on the fear-based shit. And to move forward in life with only giving her energy to high caliber people who deserve her time and her attention, and with enough self-love that she can make good decisions about who she's going to be around, who she's going to put her investment into, to learn how to forgive herself with the cord cutting, forgive herself, forgive her old self, and start to love herself more and have more self-respect and more discernment with who she shares her energy with. So instead, let's say your favorite client wants to have the cord cutting so that she can be cleansed of the baggage that's not hers that she's been carrying. Set down the heavy stuff, because if it's heavy, it's not hers. Your ideal client is going to be a top tier type of woman who, or client, what have you, who is having a problem with something, but it's not somebody who is going to be pleased with the thought of revenge or having the last laugh or anything like that. Keep in mind that your favorite client is going to be someone who's very high-minded, intellectual, has some wisdom about her, and even though she's struggling, she knows that she wants a sophisticated solution and a good, long-lasting, genuine, high vibrational result after dealing with you. So what that means is, when you are describing the results of your offers, your spiritual offers, who you're talking to is a client who has the issues that you've had before, that you've struggled with and have now figured out. But you're speaking to her higher mind. So you're speaking to the version of her that has more wisdom and more self-love and a clearer mind and is better guided, has better self-guidance. And that means when you talk about your offers, you're not going to say, this cord cutting is going to make it so that your narcissistic ex is going to be cut away from you energetically so he can suffer and you can move on and have the last laugh and blah, blah, because there are people who get online and say shit like that. And it's fine if that's the kind of people they want to work with, but when you're describing your spiritual offers and what they do, you're not going to say shit like that, because it attracts the wrong type of people who are looking for revenge or looking for like low-minded, low vibrational results. That's not who you want to work with. That is exactly the client that you are speaking to, but you're speaking to her higher mind. Consider a time in the past when the old you desperately wanted a specific kind of spiritual healing. More to the point, a specific kind of spiritual healing that you now offer in your business.